Welcome to the course module of Communication Engineering. So in the last lecture, we have seen the frequency spectrum of the WBFM signal. Okay, we already seen the time domain expression of the SFMT, means for frequency modulated signal. And then we have seen this particular frequency spectrum of the WBFM signal. So in the last lecture, I told you that if you see this particular spectrum of the frequency modulated signal, we can see this that this particular spectrum is containing infinite number of sideband frequencies. Okay, so we can have the large number of, or you can say infinite number of upper sideband frequencies, and we also have infinite number of lower sideband frequencies. And therefore, we said that the frequency modulated signal ideally takes infinite bandwidth. Okay, this is what we have said in the last lecture, and it is also we are able to see it from the spectrum itself. Okay, so it is generally taking infinite bandwidth. Ideally, it is taking infinite bandwidth, but for the practical cases, we need to assess how much bandwidth practically that this type of FM modulated signal would take. So that we have to see in the today's lecture. So what will be the practical bandwidth? Because as we know that we cannot have the infinite bandwidth, okay? Because no transmission media will give you infinite bandwidth, because bandwidth is limited, okay? Whenever we are transmitting any signal through a particular channel, for example, it may be a wired channel or it is a wireless channel, okay? Then all the channels are having limited bandwidth. So therefore, we cannot send the infinite bandwidth. So we need to see that what will be the practical bandwidth that will be used for transmission of the FM signal without any significant distortion. Obviously, when we talk about the limited bandwidth, okay, as we can see that the ideal it is taking infinite bandwidth because of the infinite sideband frequencies. So when we restrict the number of sideband frequencies, there will be a little distortion that may be available in the received signal. But generally, that distortion is acceptable and the quality do not degrade much. Okay, and therefore that limited bandwidth can be utilized for transmission of the FM signal. So now, before discussing about the bandwidth requirement, practical bandwidth requirement for the FM signal, I would first take the one of the discussion that was left out. I told you in the last lecture that this generalized FM expression can also be reduced to the expression of narrowband frequency modulated signal when our beta value is very small. Okay, so that we have to look at. Okay, first, so you can see this. We have another property of the Bessel functions. Okay, we already have this particular expression for our frequency modulated signal. Okay, so we have infinite number of terms. Okay, here you can see the n is negative, it is -1, -2, and it will go up to minus infinity. Here we have our carrier part, okay, AC J naught B cos 2 pi FCT. And then here the value of m is positive and it will go up to infinity. Now we have one more significant property of the Bessel function. Again, we are not going to prove it, but directly we are going to use this particular property of the Bessel function. So what is that property? For a small values of the modulation index, okay, normally beta when less than 1, then this Bessel function coefficient J naught beta, okay, J naught beta will be approximately given as equals to unity. Okay, this is the property of the Bessel function. Similarly, this J1 beta will be approximately given as beta by 2, and then Jn beta for all values n greater than 2. Generally what happens is this value will be equals to 0. Okay, so basically all the higher sidebands are significantly low. Okay, so it will be significantly low. So J1 beta will be approximately beta by 2, And whenever n is actually greater than or equals to 2, this j and beta is approximately equals to 0. Okay, so that value will be significantly low. So it means that if you substitute this values, okay, of the Bessel functions, okay, into this particular equation of the SFMT, then here we can substitute j naught beta equals to 1, and then here j minus 1 beta or j1 beta, which will be having the same value, only the sign will be different. Okay, so here the sign will be negative, so I'm just keeping it negative, and then this j1 beta will be equals to beta by 2. So here we can substitute this because we have already the relationship like j minus 1 beta will be equals to minus 1 j1 beta. So this sign positive will become negative. Okay. So this will be AC beta by 2 cos 2 pi fc minus fmt plus AC cos 2 pi fct, and then plus AC. Again, J1 beta will be replaced by beta by 2 whenever our beta value is very small. So that time it will become AC beta by 2 cos 2 pi fc plus fmt. And all other higher sideband frequencies, side frequencies will become 0, because we are having this particular property of the Bessel functions when beta is a small value. So now you can see that this expression is for our narrowband FM signal. Okay, we have already seen this particular expression. Okay, so you can see that we have the lower sideband which is 180 degree out of phase with respect to the upper sideband. Okay, so we are having upper sideband and lower sideband and one carrier frequency. Okay, so this is what our equation is. Okay, for NBFM case when beta is very small. So this is how we can reduce that particular expression of SFMT, which is a generalized expression, into the narrowband FM equation. Similarly, you can again plot the spectrum for this, and this we have already done it. Okay, so please go back and see that a spectrum. It is again the NBFM spectrum only. Fine. So now we have to look at the power requirement for FM transmission. Okay, so basically how to calculate the power requirement for FM transmission. We have this expression for FM signal, which is equals to AC and summation over n equals to minus infinity to infinity j and beta cos 2 pi fc plus nfmt. So we know that how to calculate the power requirement. If we have the cosine terms, whatever be the magnitude of the cosine terms, we have to square it and then divide it by the factor of 2. And then we have to sum it over all the cosine terms, and then that will give us the total power. So if we want to calculate the total power, here the magnitude of the cosine term is our j and beta. So for the different values of n, it will be taking a different Bessel function coefficient. Okay, so this total power PT, if we like to calculate, okay, here I have written dot dot dot. So here I'm just starting with n equals to minus 1. So basically when we square it, all the negative sign will also become positive because we need to add all the powers. Okay, so I'm writing here is a positive sign. This will be AC square, then it is J. Either you can write minus 1 square beta or you can write J1 square beta, because we already know that the magnitude will be remain same. So AC square, J1 square beta by 2, then plus n equals to 0 for n equals to 0. This will be giving you AC square J naught beta square. Okay, J naught square beta divided by 2. And then again, we have to substitute n equals to 1. So it will be giving you AC square J1 square beta by 2 plus, again, this term will continue up to infinity. And here again, this term will go continue up to infinity. So now what we can see is we have AC square by 2 as a common factor. Okay, even if we have the infinite series, okay, even if we have the infinite series right from n equals to minus infinity to plus infinity, we can see that everywhere we are going to get this factor AC square by 2. So what we can write is, we can write this total power equals to AC square by 2 and then summation over n equals to minus infinity to infinity, and then Jn square beta. Okay, Jn square beta. Fine. And I told you in my previous lecture that this is summation of the Bessel function coefficient n equals to minus infinity to infinity jn square beta. Okay, for all the values of the beta will give you summation will be equals to unity. Okay, this value we have already seen, this properties of the Bessel functions, that will be equals to unity, and therefore our total power will be remains equals to AC square by 2. So now you can see that AC square by 2 means we have taken the carrier as equals to AC cos 2 pi fct plus phi. Okay, so basically we know that in the case of frequency modulation, the carrier amplitude doesn't changes. Okay, the thing which is going to change or vary is its frequency. Okay, its frequency is going to change with respect to the magnitude of the message signal, but its amplitude remains constant, and therefore you can see that its amplitude was AC. So we are going to get the total power is equals to AC square by 2. So this is what the total power of our modulated FM signal. And you remember that generally the power requirement in the case of FM as compared to its equivalent AM transmission, okay, amplitude modulation transmission, the power requirement in FM is less as compared to AM case. So AM requires more power as compared to the FM case, okay, because it is having carrier part. In the AM case, we are having carrier as well as the side bands, and it is having a total power which is greater than the carrier power. If you remember, the total power equation was PT equals to PC1 plus mu square by beta. Okay, mu square by 2, sorry. So mu square by 2. So that was the expression. So here we can see that this total power requirement in the case of FM is less, but you can understood that the bandwidth requirement is much higher than the bandwidth requirement of the AM case. Okay, so I just want to tell you about these some other factors also. Basically, when we have this expression, okay, so here we can see that when n equals to -1 or +1, okay, first of all, when n equals to 0, then we can calculate the power of the carrier, okay, PFC. So this calculation of the means component at the F equals to FC will be AC square J naught square beta by 2. Okay, this will be the power of our carrier component at F equals to FC. Now the carrier and now the component frequency component at FC plus FM. Okay, when n equals to +1 will be AC square J1 square beta by 2. Okay, that we have already seen here when we are substituting n equals to 1. Then this will be the power content, AC square J1 square beta by 2. Similarly, when n equals to -1, again this value will be equals to AC square. Either you can write J -1 square beta by 2, or you can substitute J1 square beta by 2. As I told you number of times that J -1 and J +1 will be giving the same magnitude. So this is our sideband. This is generally our first sideband powers. Okay, so basically there is one term which is defined as first order sideband. Okay, first order sideband. So it is a power of the first order sideband that will be defined as power in FC plus FM component plus FC minus FM component. So if we add them together, the total power that we obtain, okay, if you add this factor and this factor, we are going to get the value equals to AC square J1 square beta. So that will be called as power in the first order sideband. Okay, remember that in some numerical problems, sometimes these parameters are mentioned. So you must be able to compare that what parameter, you must be able to understood that which parameter has given and how to compare it. So if the first order sideband is given, we need to compare like AC square J1 square beta. Similarly, if you see the second order power, okay, second order sideband power, then it is FC plus 2FM, that will be AC square J1 square beta by 2. So, just you try to make it J2 square. Okay, I think it is wrongly written. So please make it J2 square beta by 2. So the same value we will be getting for FC minus 2FM also when n equals to -2. So second order sideband power, if you calculate, we have to add this to, okay. So we will be getting ACS square J2 square beta. So this will be our second order sideband. So similarly, you can calculate third order sideband, fourth order sideband, and so on. So whenever in the numerical problems, if some sideband power is mentioned, then you please compare these equations, okay? And then accordingly you do the calculation. So I hope this power calculation must be clear. Now we have to look at the bandwidth requirement, transmission bandwidth requirement of the FM signal. So while calculating the transmission bandwidth of the FM signal, basically, as we already seen that when we have plotted the spectrum, okay, here I am just plotting the magnitude spectrum of the FM signal, okay, so in which I have just taken the magnitude part, because all the impulses, you can see that it is pointing towards upward direction, okay, only positive direction. It is not going towards downward direction, okay. So you don't bother about it because it is just the magnitude spectrum of the FM signal. So basically, while calculating the transmission bandwidth of the FM signal, what we can see is we have already seen that due to when I explained you about the single tone modulation of the FM signal, I told you that due to the maximum amplitude of the masses signal, if it is AM, then there will be a maximum frequency deviation delta F that we can achieve. And how we have defined the delta F? Delta F was the frequency deviation. So frequency deviation delta F was defined equals to KF multiplied with the AM, okay? So basically, when we are talking about the frequency deviation, okay, then after the frequency deviation, whatever be the side frequencies that we are going to get for a given value of the beta, the amplitude of those side frequencies will be very small, and it will be decreasing rapidly towards zero. So what I'm trying to say is, if you see in this particular picture, when this graph is actually have opt-in for beta equals to 1. So when it is beta equals to 1, then in that case, if you try to calculate the delta F, we will be able to see that this delta F will be equals to FM. So basically, the excursion of the minimum frequency to maximum frequency, okay, that will take place from minus FM to plus FM, okay, minus FM to plus FM. So if this is denotes as like FC, then here it will be FC plus FC plus FM, and here it will be FC minus FM. So generally, it has been found practically that whenever the frequency components that comes after the frequency deviation, when we achieve the maximum frequency deviation, for example, here in this case, we achieved FM. So after that, whatever be the frequency component that we are going to get, its magnitude will start falling rapidly. Okay, it will start falling rapidly. So therefore, it has been said that if we are able to take if in this case, if you see, when we have taken beta equals to 1, only one sideband frequency, up to one sideband frequency, we have covered the 2 delta F. Similarly, when it is beta equals to 2, here you can see that again it will be go up to 2 FM. Okay, delta F will be equals to 2 FM, beta equals to 2. So here we are seeing that it is only 2 sideband frequencies has been covered. Okay, within this total excursion of the deviation of the total frequency swing that we have set. So it is the total deviation that will take place will be in within minus, you can say that it is minus, here it is FC minus 2 FM. Okay, so it will be FC minus 2 FM, and it is here it is FC plus 2 FM. Okay, so within this there will be the maximum frequency swing that will take place. So here it is 2 delta F. Okay, so this width will be equals to 2 delta F. And after that, whatever be the frequency components that will come in the spectrum, it will have very insignificant amplitude. Similarly, when we have taken beta equals to 5, you can see that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, only 5 such sideband frequencies above the FC and below the FC will have the significant power. Okay, will have the significant power, and therefore it will be having this much of swing. Okay, so basically what we are trying to say from this picture is whenever the we are going beyond the like maximum frequency deviation, okay, whatever be the maximum frequency deviation, as you can see that here it is, the maximum frequency deviation that we are getting is delta f. So whenever we are having a side frequencies beyond the maximum frequency deviation, its amplitude is going to fall rapidly, okay, in all the cases. And therefore what we can see is while calculating the bandwidth, okay, because we know that ideally we are saying that it will be occupying infinite bandwidth because of the availability of this particular sideband frequencies. But what we can see is if we are able to neglect these higher band frequencies, okay, higher order frequencies, okay, then we will be able to calculate approximate bandwidth for this transmission of the FM signal. So how they have said that? They are saying that if, let us say, we are having the beta is some integer value, okay, let us say if it is 5 or if it is 2, then they are saying that if beta plus 1 side frequencies from the carrier, if we take, then that will be sufficiently having all the power content, and all the frequency component greater than that can be neglected, okay, can be neglected. So basically what we are saying is the beta plus 1 side frequencies from carrier frequency FC are sufficient to consider for practical bandwidth of FM, as frequency beyond that have insignificant amplitude. It means that if we are having delta F up to this point, okay, if we are having delta F up to this point, then obviously here beta equals to 2. So whatever be the beta value, we are just the delta F value will be remain same, okay, because we are talking about delta F that will be equals to 2 FM, okay. So here it is like 2 FM, or you can directly talk about this beta value. If beta is any integer value, then beta equals to 2 here. So if we take 2 plus 1 means 3 significant 3 side frequencies, okay, 3 subsequent side frequency after FC, okay, let us say we are talking about beta equals to 2. So how many such side frequencies we have to take? 2 plus 1. So we are taking first, second, and third. So up to this point, okay, up to this point. So this is the upper sideband, and again we have to do the same thing for the lower sideband. It means that if we are considering bandwidth up from this particular impulse to this particular impulse, okay, multiplied with the FM, okay, or you can say that the bandwidth up to this impulse to this impulse will give you the significant practical transmission bandwidth. So this is what we have written here, is that the beta plus 1 side frequencies from carrier frequency FC are sufficient to consider for practical bandwidth of FM, as frequency beyond that have insignificant amplitude. Okay, so that are having insignificant amplitude. So the practical transmission bandwidth, how it can be calculated? It can be calculated because we have to consider twice of beta 1 plus side frequencies to consider the both USB and LSB, and therefore we have to multiply it with 2. So it will be approximated transmission bandwidth for FM will be BT, that will be given as 2 beta plus 1 into FM. Okay. So if you substitute for beta, which is equals to delta F upon FM, we can also write this approximated transmission bandwidth will be equals to 2 delta F plus 2 FM. Okay. So this is how we calculate the practical transmission bandwidth of the FM signal. You remember that it is an approximated equation, and this is actually an empirical formula, okay? Because from the practical from the practical spectrums, okay, we have found that this particular situation, whenever we go beyond the maximum frequency deviation, then the amplitude of the side frequency is falling rapidly. So that's why this formula is also called as the empirical relationship, okay? And this empirical relation was given by the Carson's rule. Okay, Carson's, one of the scientists whose name was Carson's. So that's why this equation is also called as the Carson's rule for finding the practical transmission bandwidth of FM signal. So you remember that by this way, we are actually calculating the transmission bandwidth for our FM signal. So here again, you can see that when beta equals to 5, okay. So here it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 such side frequencies has been considered, okay. So to calculate the bandwidth will be a little bit more than that. So what we have to take is we have to consider one more side frequency. So basically we have to take up to this point, okay. So it will be total from this impulse to from this impulse, okay, up to this impulse, okay. So this width will be our transmission bandwidth of our FM signal. So this is how we are calculating the approximated transmission bandwidth for the FM signal. You remember that by this procedure, we are actually underestimating the required bandwidth of the FM signal. It is not the exact value, as we know that it is ideally required infinite bandwidth, okay. But by the Carson's rule, whatever we are calculating is the approximated or underestimated. We are underestimating the transmission bandwidth of the FM signal, okay. So we are doing the underestimation. Now the same thing again, the practical bandwidth can also be calculated by calculating the 1% bandwidth of the FM signal. So what does it mean by the 1% of the bandwidth of the FM signal? You please try to look this one again. So basically, what is the definition of 1% bandwidth of the FM signal is the transmission bandwidth of an FM wave as the separation between the two frequencies beyond which none of the side frequency is greater than 1% of the carrier amplitude obtained when the modulation is removed. Okay, so please try to understand what is this definition of the 1% bandwidth of the FM signal. So let us say we just go back to this slide, okay, and now try to see this. Basically, what it says that, let us suppose if we talk about this particular case when beta equals to 1. So as per the 1% of the bandwidth of the FM signal, it says that, let us say that we are having a carrier, okay. If we have an unmodulated carrier, and if the unmodulated carrier is having a certain amplitude, and let us say its amplitude is, if it is denoted as AC square by 2, then we have to consider up to those sideband frequencies, okay, up to those sideband frequencies whose magnitude is greater than 1% of the unmodulated carrier magnitude. Okay, so if I'm saying that the magnitude of this carrier, okay, if this carrier is AC square by 2, then we have to consider up to those side frequency, okay, which will have its magnitude of this particular impulses will be greater than the magnitude of this impulse, okay, of the carrier, okay, at the of unmodulated carrier, okay. So if it is greater than that, then up to those point we have to consider. So whenever, if let us say if this carrier, this particular impulse is having its magnitude which is less than 1% of this particular magnitude of the carrier, then this should not be considered while calculating the bandwidth, okay. So again, we can see from this picture again. So we have to actually make this comparison with respect to the unmodulated carrier magnitude. Okay. So let us say if we have this particular magnitude. Okay. So up to how much, up to how many sideband frequencies we have to consider. So we have to take the magnitude. Okay. And then we have to go up to that particular impulse, after which no impulses will have its magnitude greater than 1%, okay, greater than 1% of the unmodulated carrier magnitude. Okay, if it is less than, then it is okay. If it is greater than 1%, then we have to go up to that particular impulse which is having its amplitude greater than 1%. Okay, So as we can see that basically what happens is, I explained you in the last lecture also that the magnitude of the sideband frequencies, okay, the side frequencies are actually maybe changing. Okay, sometimes this has the more magnitude than the next one. Again, in this case, you can see that the magnitude is rapidly following. Okay, it is falling. Okay, but here you can see that here we have the carrier is having the less magnitude, then the side frequency is having more magnitude. Again, it is having less magnitude, then it is having more magnitude. Again, the magnitude is increasing. Okay, and then again the magnitude starts decreasing. Okay, once it is achieved the delta F deviation, after that the magnitude will start decreasing. So basically, when the magnitude starts decreasing, we have to choose up to that value of sideband frequency in which the magnitude of this particular impulse will be remain greater than 1% of the unmodulated carrier magnitude. Okay, and up to that sideband frequency, we have to consider the bandwidth. Fine, so that we have to calculate. Okay, so that is called as the 1% bandwidth of the FM signal. And you remember that when we do that, basically whatever be the practical bandwidth we will be taking, that bandwidth will be containing the 99% of the total power. Okay, you remember that. Only 1% of the power will wasted in the insignificant side frequencies that we are not considering or we are not transmitting. Okay, so this is what we are saying is, if you see that when the modulation index we are changing, okay, we are changing like 0.1, 0.3, then the number of significant side frequencies 2n max. Okay, so it is considering both USB and the LSB. Okay, so here we can see that the number of significant side frequencies that will have its magnitude greater than 1%. Okay, will have the magnitude greater than 1%, will be 2. Okay, so 2n max equals to 2. It means that the first sideband frequency from FC plus FM and FC minus FM. Okay, so that will be considering as the bandwidth. So that bandwidth will be equals to 2 FM. Okay, so here we can see that when n maximum is equals to 2, so we can calculate that the bandwidth will be equals to 2 FM. Here you can see it is when it is beta equals to 0.3, then there will be total 4 such. You remember that this value will always be a even number. It cannot be an odd number. Okay, so when 2n maximum is equals to 4, it means that we have to consider 2 sideband frequencies. Okay, 2 sideband frequencies. Okay, similarly, when it is 1, it is total sideband frequencies that we have to consider is 3. Okay, 3 sideband frequencies we have to consider. So 3 towards the USB side and 3 towards the LSB side. And then we can calculate the total bandwidth requirement. So that total bandwidth requirement will be 6 multiplied with the FM. Fine. So from here itself, we can see that when our beta value is equals to 2, here you can see that the bandwidth requirement, if you see 2n maximum is equals to 8. So basically it is taking 4 side frequencies in the upper sideband, okay, and 4 sideband frequency in the lower sideband, and therefore the bandwidth requirement will be equals to 8 FM. Okay, 8 multiplied with the FM. So that will be the bandwidth requirement of 1% bandwidth requirement of FM signal when beta equals to 2. But if you go back to the last discussion in the Carson's rule, we have this formula BT is approximately equals to 2 beta plus 1. Okay, so here in this case, when beta equals to 2, here you can see we have taken beta plus 1. Fine. So when beta plus 1, here we can see that here beta equals to 2. So it will be 3 we are taking. So 3 plus 3, it will be giving you how much? It will be 6. So 6 multiplied with 2. So it will be giving you 12 FM. Okay. So when beta equals to 2, when small value of beta, it is giving you 12 FM. Okay. But from this, we can see that it is giving us the 8 FM value. Okay. Now, if you see when it is beta equals to 5, okay, you just see this. Okay. When beta equals to 5, it is giving us the bandwidth will be equals to 16 times FM. Okay. 16 times FM. Okay. So here you can see if we have beta equals to 5, when you substitute beta equals to 5, 5 plus 1, it will be giving you 6. So 6 multiplied with 2. So it will be giving you 12 FM. Okay. So in 1% approximation, 1% bandwidth of FM signal, it is giving you 16 FM, but here it is giving you just 12 FM. Okay. So whenever the beta value is large, you remember that whenever the beta value is large, basically this approximated relationship give you underestimated result. Okay, underestimated result. This is what we can get from this. Okay, in this particular table. So the same thing has been plotted in this picture again, which is called as a universal curve. Okay, universal curve for evaluating the 1% bandwidth of the FM signal. So here again, you can see that in this x-axis, we have the beta. Okay, we have plotted the beta. So whatever be the beta value 0.1, here we have plotted the beta divided by delta F. Okay. So how we can calculate the delta F? Delta F will be calculated as, we know that we have defined beta equals to delta F upon FM. So this delta F will be nothing but beta multiplied with the FM. Okay. So it is nothing but BT divided by delta F. So it is nothing but beta multiplied with the FM. So here we can see that when 0.1 beta equals to 0.1, it is 2. So our bandwidth will be equals to 2 multiplied with the FM. So here we are getting 20. So beta T divided by delta F is equals to 20. Okay. So delta F can be substituted as beta multiplied with the FM. So beta value is 0.1. So it is coming out as 2 FM. Fine. So it is coming out as 2 FM. So basically the same points has been plotted here. Okay. And then this a particular curve has been plotted to just make a curve fitting. Okay. Just to make the curve fitting. Okay. So this point has been first plotted here. Okay. Based on this table. And then a curve has been drawn just to pass through these points. Okay. Just to pass through these points. So either you can use this table or this curve to find out the 1% bandwidth of the FM signal. So you remember that in the most cases, okay, in most of the numerical problems, if it is not mentioned that we have to calculate the 1% bandwidth of the FM signal, we can use the Carson's rules to find out the bandwidth of the FM signal. Okay, so that approximated bandwidth can be used for many of the numerical problems. Fine. So I hope this must be clear, this discussions. If you have any further query, you can please drop me a message in the comment box. I will be trying to explain it further. So I will be stopped here today. Okay, I think it is enough for today. So I will be taking up the next topic that will be related to the generation of the FM signal in the next lecture. So thank you for watching this lecture. If you have any query, let me know with your comments, and be connected with the channel for more updates. So thank you for watching.